Hello, hello. This is Marina Konforkina, and this is our first episode of our podcast in English. And here I have a wonderful guest whose name is Ryan, and we are talking about very exciting topic about polyamory. I was so curious about that for a long time. So, hi Ryan, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm happy to be on your first English show.
Yeah, so let's go. Do you think we can just tell how we met each other?
Yeah, sounds fine by me.
Okay, so we met each other on one of those dating applications, which I mostly try to avoid, but sometimes it's just, I think, it's this kind of curiosity. And then I meet this kind of person who just feels like you have so much connection with. And we didn't even meet once. Because the last moment when I was in Amsterdam, I was stressed and packing my boxes and planning to move to a completely new place. So making packages, sending them, it was crazily stressful. And so I decided it's not the right time for dating. But we still keep connected, right?
Right, yeah, it was. That was going to be a great night. I was ready to move some boxes.
So I invited him to move some boxes, but then I ran out of the tape and it was night, so I thought it would be completely useless because I couldn't even close these boxes. So that's how the life is. It makes it difficult in the little details. So, what struck me in your profile actually, Ryan, is that you were very open about that you are in already a fixed partnership and that you are looking for polyamorous relationships. That interests me so much, but I'm more a curious outsider than an active practitioner. I tried it many times, but it never really worked with me. So I'm so curious to explore this topic, really. Tell me.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to. I put it front and center on my profile. I think that's probably the first thing somebody needs to know about me is that I'm already in a relationship.
But doesn't it scare people off? Like.
I would imagine so. I think I do get a number of hits on that site from other poly people. And some singles, but it must really chase people off a little bit, right? I think if you're on a dating site and you see a married male, I think you have one thing that you think, that this is somebody out looking for sex outside of their relationship.
Yeah, so are you like officially married? So it's not just a fixed relationship.
And right, I am officially married.
And tell me more about it. How is this your main relationship? How does it work? How does it function? There is no jealousy whatsoever. Does she do the same as you? Does she know about your dating experiences? Do you share it with each other? Like you return home from a date and then your partner lies on the couch and you say, "Oh, I had such a fantastic sex with this girl," you know? Do you do that?
Well, that's a lot of questions you threw at me.
I'm so curious. I'm super overstimulated by the topic, probably. Sorry about that.
All right, so let me start with the first one. So, is there no jealousy? Oh no, there is jealousy, right? I think any healthy relationship, you're always looking to be close to your partner, and even if you have a relationship like this, there is always in the back of your mind some thoughts, but it comes down to, for us, we want each other to be happy, right? We don't want boundaries and social norms to stop us from the things that we want to do, and that doesn't just include relationships. It includes travel and where we live, what we do with our careers. That's largely the focus, is feeling a little bit limitless and being willing to trust each other to try new things. and expecting each other to try new things.
And was it like this from the beginning? Was it a kind of fixed agreement, like I marry you only if I'm allowed to do this, or some kind of, pact?
No, as a matter of fact, no, it wasn't like that. When you find a partner, you want to find somebody that can grow with you and communicate with you. I think that what happened in this case is we travel a lot, and so we are away from each other a lot. And for me personally, I like a lot of attention. I don't like to be alone. I don't like to be sitting in a hotel room just working on my laptop. I really like to be around people, and I find that I get close to people really fast. And so it started down that path a little bit, where I was getting really close to people and feeling affection towards them in different ways, not necessarily sexually. And then just kind of pulling on that string a little bit about what energy it gave me and how meaningful it could be. I think that's how it started, really. And then most recently, over the last maybe 4 years, we've really started talking about it, about how she feels about other people and how I feel about other people and what it means to each of us. It's been pretty interesting to have those conversations.
And how long are you together already?
That's a tough one. 20 years, maybe.
Wow.
I think. Yeah.
That's a long time. Do you think this polyamorous situation helps you to make the relationships more healthy and long-during?
I really want to say yes, but it seems almost self-serving to say yes. But what I find is that I want to share, especially these kinds of concepts in our relationship. I want her to know what I'm thinking. I want her to know what's meaningful to me and what gives me energy and what it means for me to be connected to another person. For the most part, for me, it's not a focus on sex. So your question of, hey, when I get home, if I'm with somebody else, do we start talking about what happened sexually? Sometimes, but I think that's less interesting to her. I think she has no issues with me having a physical relationship with somebody. I think for her, jealousy and that discussion is going to be around having a emotional relationship and going over that boundary and approaching that boundary.
So you think when you fall in love with some other person, do you give her less attention at this moment? Or is it like, do you have an eternal amount of energy and love to give to everybody whom you love? Or is it just temporary kind of explosion of passion, and then it goes over and you return to your normal settled life? How does it work with feelings?
That's a loaded question. So when you're in a new relationship and you start having those very deep feelings, you have to be really self-aware and really aware of your reaction to pheromones, your reaction to a new situation, your reaction to a new partner, because it can get really confusing really fast for everybody involved. And I think that trying to navigate that is maybe the toughest thing here, is to make sure that you don't get confused and you can kind of think your way through it. But that's also the point of doing this, is to get close to somebody and to feel that deep level of affection.
Yeah, I understand. Do you think it can possibly make other person suffer at the thought that they cannot actually fully have you spend the rest of the life with you, because this is what's attractive about love. When you fall in love, you think, oh, if I would have two lives, I would spend with this person them both. And I had this once very strong, that I felt this way, and I had this phrase in my head, and does it make your new passions a little bit feeling less important, less given less attention? Did you have this discussion?
Yeah, so if I think about my wife, I try to be really careful about keeping a set level of attention and time. Normally traveling as much as we both do, there's space to maneuver, right? So it's not a question of, shall I go with this other person while you're waiting at home? That can be where problems can arise and jealousy happens. But if you're already unable to spend time with your partner, then it's a little bit more freeing, and it takes that edge away.
Yeah.
But I think your question is more about, when you're having emotional feelings for another person, does it make you have, reduced time or reduced feelings for your partner? And I don't think it does. It's just something you have to be really aware of and talk through.
Do you keep an equal score? Do you try to keep an equal score of how many other partners you have? And
no, and there's a specific reason for that, and that my wife is very self-sustaining. She the word needy comes to mind. She's not needy. She doesn't want for additional affection. She doesn't feel like she gets energy from another person in that way, right? Where if you take a look at me, I feel like
you're needy.
I'm super needy. I want attention. I want somebody thinking about me. I want good morning texts. I want that extra attention, and it gives me a huge amount of energy. I mean, I can feel it, in my blood. I can feel like I can lift a car when I've got more energy coming to me in that way.
How many good morning messages from different people can make you really, really happy? When you say, okay, this is enough good morning messages, I got my energy like a cup of coffee. What's your dose?
Yeah, it's funny, right? This is going to sound really strange, we're talking about polyamorism, but I'm really loyal, right? And so it wouldn't be meaningful to me to stack, 5 good morning messages from 5 different people in the morning. That wouldn't be meaningful to me at all. I've got a very close relationship with my wife, and if I'm going to be in another relationship, I would want it to be somebody really close, right? That I want to be really bonded to as well. It wouldn't be, an additional 6 partners.
Do you think she ever was tempted to read your messages in your phone, for example?
Yeah, potentially. But it's not exactly a closed book. I try to talk about it at a minimum. We talk about it on the weekends, but I also like to share things that are exciting to me. To be in a relationship with another person, to be honest, can be really uplifting, and something fun can happen, or they can send a video or say something that's really special, and if it impacts me, I want to share it, right? I want to say, hey, I have a person that I met, and she texted me this message, and the message said this, and it made me feel so great, right? I want to share those things.
Yeah, and how does she respond?
Well, I think in some ways...
Oh, nice. Good. Good for you. Does she say things like that?
Well, I think she she's really supportive of me. Like, we're really supportive of each other, and she knows that I have different skills or different aspects to my personality that she doesn't necessarily have, and what comes with that is different needs. So she knows that I need that kind of communication. I want that kind of communication.
Yeah. And do you like to imagine her with other men in bed? Does it give you a kick?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it does, for sure.
Wow.
You know, her pleasure, her being happy, her feeling fulfilled makes me feel really strong, too.
Have you tried also threesomes with any of genders?
We've been in situations like that, yes.
Okay, and how does that work? How did it start? Tell me some more, like, details. I want to know everything.
Well, again, it starts with communication, and it starts with, having a fantasy or having a curiosity and saying, oh, I wonder about this. And it's a mindset of being explorers. You know, I think that's the easiest way to talk about it is, we want to try new foods. We want to travel to distant places. We want to immerse ourselves in different cultures, learn new languages. There's so much to it. And, sexual relationship like that and sexual situations like that are just another extension of that, of what would it be like to do this? How would it feel to see this?
So who started the conversation? It's like you say, oh, I wonder how would it be in a bed with the second girl? And she says, yes, we try it. Let's find somebody. How does it all work in practice?
So let me answer that question in a broader way, right? So we each have our interests, so she'll come to me and say, I want to move across the planet. And then for me, I have to think that one through, and I need to talk about it, right? And then I can come to her, which I did, and say, hey, I want to experience something different in the bedroom. I want to go down this path, and then we talk that through and strategize about how we would do that.
How do you find a right girl? Yeah, or a boy?
It's there's clubs that you can go to.
Okay.
There's meet and greets. Whenever we go to a place or a meeting of individuals that are like-minded, then we always find people that want to connect with us, and we meet really nice people. People in the lifestyle are incredibly warm and friendly and open, and it's a perfect fit for me, even if I just wanted to go and have dinner.
Yeah. I imagine a situation like, do you know this film of Gaspar Noé, which is called Love? That's how it started with them. They wanted to experience sex with another girl, threesome. And that brought them into a lot of mess and emotional difficulties afterwards. So...
So for us, it didn't bring us to emotional difficulties. It's an experience that to go through. It's really a lot to handle, right? There's a lot to see. There's a lot of emotion. There's excitement and jealousy, and it's a lot. And so you almost have to go through it, and then you need a day or two to get your head around exactly what just happened, and then you can talk about it a little bit more. But it heightens all of your senses for days after.
So jealousy actually gives you a kick.
Nobody wants to feel jealousy, right? But how do you...
Light jealousy. It's like...
Yeah.
It's like
jealousy might be a strong word, right? It's hard to feel jealous when, if you just take me, for example, if I want to see her feel pleasure, if I want to see her fulfilled, it's hard to, at the same time, feel like, well, I don't want her to. And so at the time I don't, it's, what I told you is for her, sex is not the something she would be concerned about. It would be the emotional relationship that she would be concerned about. And for me, I feel the same way, where the sex is not something I would be concerned about. But what I want for her is to feel what I feel when I meet a new person and feel connected to somebody. And that's where I would feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Are you both bisexual?
No.
Neither. But then in which way it works with threesome if you're not bisexual?
Well, no. Can we get back to the polyamorous? No.
Sorry, too intimate questions. We can get back to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, to be honest, like a threesome isn't normally our choice. It'd probably be more of a foursome, right? Another couple would probably be what we would connect with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, interesting. Do you have kids?
Yes.
Okay. So how old are they already?
11 and I have 22.
Okay. And do your kids kind of know more or less about your way of life? Is it like inclusive? For example, can your kid meet and have some time with you and your other partner or other lover?
No, I don't think so. But I will tell you that and the idea and the concept of finding a woman using the site, OkCupid, was based on a relationship that we've had in the past where we were both close to a woman that we knew, and we each had children the same age, and it started to evolve in that direction. And so that was something that was really comfortable for both of us, where we were both friends with the person and we could both spend time with them independently and have a nice time and feel really safe and comfortable with that. And so that's more the direction that I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm asking that because actually kids in polyamorous relationships is a main topic of like a lot of arguments around this topic. It's also main problem why it is not widely accepted in the society, this kind of, relational structure when there are several partners, not two but more of them. It's just that the kids get very much confused.
Everybody gets confused, so it's not something you want to have your kids exposed to.
Yeah, I'm personally very much interested in this kind of relationships, but for example, I have more typical situation. I just got divorced and I have a child, a boy, and each time I would introduce, because I spent time with him alone, so it's natural that we go out sometimes with my male friend or some of my male friends, and he hates it. My son always was behaving very aggressively, explicit aggressively to any kind of friends who are not his father. So I learned the hard lesson, then I kind of started separating. But then I got a boyfriend with whom I was more or less stable in a fixed relationship. And then he was the only one who could be fun and be in good connection with my child. So it's a big topic, actually, children.
Yeah, I've been there too, and I know what that looks like, and I know what it has felt like to my daughter. So I'm always very careful with that, right? There's a time and a place for everything, and especially, we've put some stress on our son to move around the planet, and so we're really careful with him and his feelings, and we're really a close family too.
Okay. And you as a child, you always was like this? Did you have many girlfriends in the sandbox when you were 3? Do you remember those moments?
Yeah, strangely enough, I can. And there's always been a pull for me to be around girls and females, and on the playground or in class, there was always a fascination for me. I just like how it feels, right? I just like the comforting feeling. Women are so gentle and soft in most cases with their language and their tones that it was always really comforting to me.
All right, so maybe it's something already in your maybe genetics or just how you're made that this kind of life is more comfortable for you. So you're born with this as much as gay people believe they are born with this. Do you think so?
Yeah, I do think in a lot of ways. I know that my personality is quite unique, and there's a portion of me that I feel like sometimes I could describe it as I leak emotions that other people can understand and feel and connect to. And so I find that people connect to me, and the most interesting part is it's not just women. Men get attached to me too and want to approach me and want to be aggressive with me and say, hey, let's go do this, or do you ever, are you bi, are you gay? And I end up going through this conversation 10 times more than anybody I know. So it's something about the way that I'm wired that just brings people close to me, and I want to be close to people.
Yeah, you're very in natural way you feel connected to the people very emotionally. It's the same with cats. For example, there are cats which are absolutely intangible, and there are cats which want to be caressed all the day around. You are the second type, obviously.
Yeah, if cats could receive good morning texts, that would be me for sure.
Okay, so good morning text is something very like a little point for you, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to represent like the little things of somebody thinking about you. That's really meaningful to me, to think that somebody wakes up and their first thought is of me, right? And so that's why the good morning text is interesting and meaningful.
Okay, how many good morning texts did you get today, for example?
I don't think I got 0 good morning texts today.
Oh, really? Oh, poor you. I should remind myself, like an alarm clock, that I should send a good morning text or write it on my cup of coffee, on my favorite cup. Like, send good morning text to Ryan, don't forget, otherwise he will not have his day complete.
Right. Then I can be on the right path for the whole day long.
Wow. I'm so amazed that it works actually, and I meet a person with whom it works positively well. Because I tried several times, and once you get into a loving connection with somebody and you just slightly try to hint, maybe if we make it a little bit open, maybe it will work better for us, or at least when we are on a long distance, like my last big relationships, he just moved to Peru and then got locked down. And then I said, maybe we try this, and it was a fiasco. It ruined everything. And maybe it makes it now more difficult for me because I moved to Italy, and I deal with a very traditionalist family value culture, for which it is a big taboo, big taboo. And one more concern, how about the hygienic stuff? Maybe it's a question which is too intimate, but I think it's super important.
Yeah, I think to be fair, since lockdown, there hasn't been a ton of activity, but prior to that, I'm very careful about using protection and getting tested. But although we've had experiences and tested waters on things, it's not a situation where every weekend or every month or even every year where we would go out and pursue this kind of a situation. And we have a lot of other interests and a lot of other exploring to do. So it doesn't always come back to that for us. For me, as a couple, and I don't know if you've ever experienced, being in a couple and then being with another couple, but imagine dating being twice as hard, right? So not only does one have to like the other, but then the other two also have to connect as well. So it becomes really, really challenging to almost hunt in a pack like that, right? It's really interesting to see, and the communication that has to happen is pretty exceptional, just because we're not, we do want a connection with people. We want to find people that laugh and are excited about this for reasons. We look at it as a luxury, right? We don't look at it as a hobby that we do all the time. It's something that, maybe as a celebration, like a nice bottle of wine, you would have an experience like that.
Wow, this sounds beautiful, almost idealistic. You're just like almost opening my mind into a new kind of utopia, in a way.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle. And you were saying that you had an experience and you've had some frustration trying to get into that same position with somebody, but we have been really close for a very long time and can talk about absolutely everything with each other, including feelings like this, and so that's been really meaningful. But there's also the personalities that you have to have in alignment. So my wife is very, she's not overly emotional and she's not needy. She's very strong and focused and goal oriented. And really, if she sets her mind to do something, that's going to happen. And then me, I want, these things to happen. I want to be experiencing these kinds of things, but I also am really, it may not sound like it, but I'm really confident and self-aware. I feel like I'm really unique and not replaceable, right? And so I do feel like hints of jealousy, and it can get to me sometimes. But in most cases, I feel quite strong, just centered personally, but also in our relationship.
And do you have other long-lasting relationships outside your marriage, or is it just like flicking and not continuing very long?
No, I'm really deep emotionally. I think, right? I only know myself, but I feel like if I have bonded with somebody, if I feel really close to somebody, I'm going to feel that way forever. And I feel really loyal. And the problem can come for me is I'm really loyal. And if other people are not, as loyal, then that becomes frustrating. But that doesn't mean that my feelings go away. I feel like I still have relationships with girls that I knew in elementary school and in high school and college and beyond. So once I have a relationship with somebody, it's usually very long lasting.
Wow, that's so special, really. Like, it impresses me so much.
Yeah, but it's not, I'm not getting good morning texts, but I do have people on Facebook, and I can reach out to them when I need them, right? And talk through issues, or if I am in my hometown, I can call somebody and we can go out and have a glass of wine together without expectation and still feel really close about, where we were in our lives at that time.
Yeah, and is the word love a taboo for you, or how often can you pronounce this word? Or does it kind of devaluate its meaning lately by overuse and being abused?
So the word is broad, to me. I mean, I think it covers a lot of ground. If I think about the love that I feel for my children, and that's different than the love that I feel for my wife, but that's a bond that's formed over 20 years. That's pretty impressive. And so to meet somebody and know them for a week or a month or a year and try to use the same word, it's not fair and it's not accurate, but the emotion is still real, right? The yearning and the warmth that you feel, those are all very real, and I don't think that we really know another way to communicate it than to go in that direction and say, I love you, or I feel really, like, there's only so many ways you can say, I feel really strongly about you.
Yeah. Wow.
So I don't normally use that word with other people. I don't. To say, if it's really uncomfortable to me most of the time to say the same word to recognize my wife as I would use with somebody that I had a shorter term relationship with.
Yeah, that sounds very special. That sounds like I'm almost envious about your connection with your wife in a good way, because I think it doesn't happen so often, this kind of really developed emotional friendship, love relationship where two people accept each other. Do you think it's also depends on the place where you are, how in general accepted this kind of topics is? Like, I think from my experience, Amsterdam is a lot more open-minded, but also very much superficial, if you know what I mean. People are all about, having fun is just the motto of the life. Having fun and pleasure, kind of get hedonism, and it doesn't really very often go in deeper in relationships. But at the same time, I guess Amsterdam is quite open-minded about being polyamorous. Right?
If I were to translate that, are you saying that you're finding Amsterdam to be that people are more sex-driven and trying to complete that transaction and then move on?
Yes, but it's also the sex can be very different. For me, there are two ways of doing sex: is making sex and making love. And for me, the only one which makes sense is to make love. For me, having sex as physical exercise, it's like using the body of other for self-masturbation, why would I do that? Why would I even spend the energy of meeting all these people? I have my toys, they satisfy me perfectly. But yeah, finding a very deep emotional connection is very scarce, because people are so afraid to be vulnerable, to get involved in a relationship, to be like, to have an open skin, to sense something. So this is only my interpretation. I don't say it's in general like this. But
yeah, my experience in Amsterdam is fairly limited. Only arriving just a few months before the lockdown, so I haven't, we haven't pursued any relationships, and I haven't I think that I started my account on OKC, I think 2 months ago.
Okay.
And that's the first time I've ever put a kind of an ad out there on a dating site at all.
Yeah, that sounds like we should ask now for this website for sponsoring our podcast. I think so, but to be honest, from my experience, is the only website which covers a lot of important questions. Something like, are you partnered or not? Are you mono or polyamorous, and things like that. It's the only website which allows people to be very clear and very honest.
Right, and that's why I did some research and I found the one that polyamorous people would use, and I made sure that it could be very clear that I was married and exactly what I was up to.
All right. Well, I hope that your Amsterdam experience enriches itself after lockdown. And wow, you opened my mind a lot in this conversation. I don't know, I'm still a doubting person. I'm still the one who looks carefully and being a little bit critical, always like playing a little bit a bad cop or a devil advocate. And I think my interest, my curiosity about polyamorous has a different nature from yours, because it wouldn't be my number one liberal choice if I would have a happy relationships. But recently I had some like negative experiences with relationships which ended badly, or relationships which wouldn't give me enough of what I needed. Like, I mean, not material things, but emotional energy, devotion, etc. So this is why I started looking into this direction, that I have so much love that it's maybe healthier to spread it around than just wait for the perfect prince or something.
Yeah, I know how it feels to feel like you have a lot to give, right? And I feel that way too. I feel like I can generate a lot of energy in other people. And it normally is really rewarding to me.
Yeah, amazing. I just believe in love and art, two things which are important, which can, I think, kind of help humanity to survive. So, yeah, let's...
Yeah, I think if I think about when I saw your profile on the site, the references to literature and art and love all going together, it was really fascinating stuff. And I mean, even your photo on that site, it's pretty much impossible to have any idea who you are or what you look like. But it didn't really matter to me. I saw the things that I wanted to see. As soon as I saw that, you were looking at people, if they were literate and were they reading and were they writing, I thought, this is something unique.
Yeah,
this is something I want to know.
One funny joke about this website is that I put in my description that a famous phrase which was actually pronounced by a famous poet, but I just ripped it off, that if I come to someone's house and I see no good books, I don't fuck them. And I had in several days I had something like more than 300 matches, but most of them not matches, but people who wrote their intro to me. I didn't even swipe them, but somehow they get into my message list and they say, oh, which kind of book do I need to have me being laid by you? They got really worried and anxious. And what if I only read digital Just reminding that the sponsor of our podcast is Bookshop Paper Fetish. Buy books, love books, and you never will be alone.